everyone, and welcome back to another roundup. So, Cyberpunk 2077 has had key information confirmed to CD Projekt Red's investors and new footage that may have indeed been responding to a leak that did suggest really pretty ropey performance. That's fun to dive into. Then we have learned a bit more about how much of a failure Avengers was financially as well as Square Enix's plans. Then the scale of the PS5 launch and a bunch more fun news with actually exciting news of Mike Laidlaw's new studio. It's a big BioWare name, has been behind some of the real good stuff. And the curious case of the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia having his foundation buy loads of SNK. Yeah, the Japanese fighting game dev and publisher. And for a lot of money. Yes, industry news can be really strange. Just like how content locks can be strange, and you can fix that with NordVPN, today's sponsor, and their Cyber Monday deal, where every 2-year plan will get an extra 4 months free at nordvpn.com/Bellular News, of course, with the promo code Bellular News. Now, why get a VPN? Simple, right? You want to watch content from another region. I mean, hey, Japanese Netflix got stuff our Netflix doesn't. Easy, right? Just use Nord's 5,000 plus servers to choose your location, whatever you want, and use the internet like you're in that place. They also keep you private. That's good. Your ISP won't know what sites you use, so they can't sell your browsing data to advertisers. They can't prioritize some of the sites you use over others. And Nord are in Panama. That's where they're registered, so your government ain't getting to them to breach your privacy. Of course, that's all on the app and browser extension that's super easy to use, and you can get 4 months for free with their Cyber Monday deal at that link below. A big thanks to Nord for supporting our team. More on where that's all going soon, and with that said, let's get into the news. We are now less than 2 weeks away from the release of Cyberpunk 2077, and there's good news. CD Projekt Red have repeatedly confirmed that December 10th will indeed be the release date, and they've said that to investors. Yes, that date is mentioned 4 times in their Q3 financial statement, and that statement has got 2 separate slides in the presentation on the date, and it's also a date highlighted in a video message to investors from their CFO. Now, while a pretty damn reliable leaker has suggested that all is not rosy behind the scenes, and that it could be the case that there could be some delays, it certainly seems like a very firm commitment, so I would not be expecting delays. Now, in other Cyberpunk news, we do have, PlayStation footage. Now, this is PlayStation footage that is the launch version, which of course means that even though it's on a PS5, it's actually the PS4 version, but running in the PS5's backwards compatibility mode, which still will yield, of course, better performance. Now, this footage seemingly was always due to release this week, but it kind of feels like an official response to leaked PS4 gameplay footage that was posted last week. Now, this was rough because the game appeared to be struggling a bit in that leaked footage. And I mean, yeah, like the PS4 is still kind of old. Now, the official CD Projekt Red video, however, does zone in on these problem areas, and it does detail a number of things that will be improved in the game's day 1 patch. So that is good to know and is decently heartening. Now, of course, since the last delay, we knew that the game had already went gold, but it had been delayed anyway, and that one of the things they were doing, of course, during that delay was working on the day 1 patch. So I think we can assume that this leaked footage, I believe we know it's via a early retail copy because those have sort of came out, which, by the way, watch out for spoilers there. But yes, if it's from an early retail copy that people are able to actually use, well, yeah, it would not benefit from those day 1 fixes. And that actually would mean that, well, it would be decently revealing because you could actually do a comparison and see what had been fixed up. DLC then. They have actually announced that DLC will not be announced or detailed before the release of the game, and that instead, that'll be a post-launch thing. Now that is going against what they had said, but in a statement, Adam Kaczynski said that their focus is of course on getting the game in people's hands. And yes, fair enough, all things considered. And I've got to wonder when we had leakers saying that even with the delay, it's a situation where all is not good under the hood. Maybe that is a situation where they've actually just decided to push a bunch of internal targets and perhaps delay that DLC to the point where they're no longer comfortable talking about it early. Because certainly, talking about things in an early way that's involved details has bitten them in the ass. Still though, we have been told to expect no less than what Witcher 3 got, and Witcher 3 got a lot of absolutely top-notch DLC. So, Might be a bumpy road, but we're almost there. Well, this'll shock no one. Marvel's Avengers has not sold well. Squeenix's recent earnings presentation does actually confirm missed sales targets and that the game has not recouped its development costs. Ouch. Now, this has resulted in a $67 million operating loss for the HD games department of Squeenix, and that does seem pretty damn scuffed, but their president actually said that they do hope to make up for lost sales later in this fiscal year. But I don't know, man. I mean, good luck, because if that is your goal, I think you're going to need luck, because I don't really see much of a path to this game that really gets it being successful. I think this is a game like Anthem where it's not that it even needs new content, it needs fundamentally rethought. So are Square Enix being a bit stupid here? I mean, it's hard to say. Maybe they're keeping up appearances, but Matsuda, the president, said that absent factors associated with Marvel's Avengers, the HD game subsegment would have been in the black. Of course, in the black means, in the positive in terms of money. So, yes, Avengers has proven to be a big money hole so far. Now, of course, that's development costs. Those are one thing. They also spent a lot of money on marketing. That is marketing that clearly hasn't been that effective. So, yes, this all seems like a sinking ship, but at least they seem to be sticking with it. Again, like with Anthem, I'll be interested to see if a road to redemption actually exists for this game. I suppose elements of this game are in a better state than Anthem. I mean, like the core gameplay for the characters, so maybe there is some hope, but I think the overall game progression and systems basically just need to be gutted and rethought, and they need a lot more content, a lot more enemy variety, and things like that. Next up, we have learned via a tweet from Sony that the PS5 has had the largest launch day of any console in history. Now, we know that just about all PS5s have sold out as well. I haven't got one, but there will be more stock later this year, which is good news, because I certainly want one. That's about it for details. No firm numbers were mentioned, but basically, yes, it is a record for Sony. If we were to have a shot at numbers ourselves, well, when the PS4 launched, it sold 2.1 million units in its first 2 weeks. Now, at the time, Sony said that that was an industry record, so yes, it would seem that the PS5 is probably quite handily on track to beat that record. Now, Sony have previously said that they expect to sell 7.6 million PS5 consoles before the end of the fiscal year in March 2021, so it very much looks like they're on track there. And I think it's an interesting situation. The PS5 is a game that basically, I think, is decently transformative in the experience of playing a bunch of the games that have launched on it, because if you have played the new Spider-Man, you try to go, you fast travel across the map, which is supposed to be via the subway, but you don't even see the subway because it loads in that fast. So I think between having Miles Morales, Demon's Souls Remaster, and really them pushing a controller that felt next-gen, and loading and stuff like that felt next-gen, yeah, I think the day one hype was absolutely there for the PS5, and I'm not surprised it sold so well. Then next up, a group of industry veterans have founded a new indie studio. It's in Quebec City, and it is called Yellow Brick Games, and amongst the founding members is Mike Laidlaw. Of course, Mike Laidlaw spent 14 years at BioWare as the creative director for the Dragon Age franchise, before then leaving to join Ubisoft in late 2018. He's going to be, by the way, serving as the chief creative officer, with there then being just a whole bunch of industry vets from various different, like your Blizzards and a bunch of others at the company as well. And basically, they say the usual thing whenever these guys get out of AAA, that the whole thing their company is about is moving away from the rigidity of AAA, and right now, they're actually working on their first project with a team of 15 people. We basically don't know anything else, but I'll tell you what, between the Dreamhaven stuff, a whole bunch of the StarCraft and Warcraft 3 people leaving to make their own studio as well, and a bunch of other things that have happened, there sure are a lot of developers leaving big companies to go it alone. I mean, hell, Laidlaw only lasted a year at Ubisoft, so, man, this is healthy for the industry, that people actually feel able to get out of there and to actually be innovative and go out on their own. So definitely fun stuff. And between this and the Wizards of the Coast RPG studio that also was founded, I believe they're in Austin, Texas. Yeah, I think for a lot of people who like games like me, there's actually quite a bit. Not games right now, but there's a few studios to keep an eye on. Next up, an embarrassing story, because when playing online in a competitive game, we all know it's important not to get tilted and make a total tit out of yourself. But that's doubly so if you are an employee of a company playing your company's own game. And this is where it gets awkward, because following a disagreement with a teammate on Dota 2, the Firewatch co-creator, Sean Vanneman, opted to pull the, hey, I'm a Steam employee card and impose a manual matchmaking ban on the debating teammate that he was not happy with, sending that teammate to the dregs of the low priority queue. Not good for a Valve employee. Now, this was posted to Reddit, it got traction, and then Vanneman himself actually confirmed that the case was looked into and that Valve found that the guy clearly did not deserve the ban that Sean gave him. So, yeah, Vanneman sure did get tilted, and he sure did make a bit of an arse out of himself. And as a result of this, Valve have made a new company policy, and that is that employees will no longer be able to impose manual bans. Nope, employees will have to go through the same regular rolled report system that we, the plebeians, have to do as well. Next up, an update to a story. Okay, the embattled MMO Last Oasis is back with a second season. And it's been a long time since we covered this game, but this is a game that really just shot up to the top of Steam. So yes, some 8 months after it launched and then unlaunched, an update has appeared that details a complete overhaul and radical changes. Now, if you weren't there originally, basically it first hit Steam Early Access in March, then quickly found success, shot to the top of the bestsellers, but then the server problems came in. The game kept on falling over. Now, while it wasn't an ideal situation, in fairness to the devs, they did offer refunds and pretty damn proactively, and I think their state of communication was pretty good. Basically, they got way more people than they expected coming in, and the whole thing fell over. Seems like people will be rewarded for their patience here with the second season. Of course, we'll have to see how it pans out. And it's certainly interesting stuff, especially since that's a team that I believe has got a bunch of people, I think actually the leads, who, of course, had a rough history with Of Kings and Men, another Steam Early Access game. One that, after its Kickstarter, ended up moving to my sort of town of Belfast, or city of Belfast in Northern Ireland. But then that all went south, and there was drama from their investor. We covered that in a video ages ago. If you want a dramatic story, it certainly is a good one. But yeah, interesting to see how things go there. Hopefully that game actually lives up to its promise, because its promise is pretty cool. And then a weird story to finish us off. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia is set to acquire a large stake in the fighting game developer SNK. $223 million for a 33.3% stake, with a stipulation that another 17.7% will be purchased in the future, which of course would take them to 50%. Strange. So this, Crown Prince's foundation is supposedly a non-profit established to invest in, as they put it, initiatives that help to cultivate and encourage learning and leadership in youth for a better culture in Saudi Arabia. And apparently that involves playing Sam Show, I guess. Weird, right? Of course, the last thing that you think about when you think of that regime is things like human rights. So, you need only look at, say, the situation with Riot Games and Neum. Neum is like a big, sort of city they're building out in the desert that's supposed to be like a big city of the future. Of course, there was then a partnership between the city, Neum, and Riot Games. That sparked basically outrage amongst all of Riot's players, and that of course led to the deal with Neum being pulled. So there certainly is a bit of drama here, but we basically have got really no idea what this is going to mean. But we know that SNK is going to have more money now, and we know their share prices went up 30%. Strange. Very strange indeed. Not really sure how I feel about it. Anyway, that is it for the news today. If you want to check out our sponsor, you can do so at the link below. And if you want to check out yesterday's video, pretty damn, I think, actually fun and important one going into the story of Nicalis and Cave Story, which really is a story you should know. That's it for me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.